welcome back to Messy Studios. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Hi guys, how you doing? Hi Messy gang, I hope you guys are doing good. I'm so excited, I can't stop smiling because I haven't been here in so long. At least I haven't been here like sitting down talking to you guys in a very long time. So I decided today was going to be the perfect video to do this. In today's segment, I'm going to be talking about my experience growing up as a Kenyan girl in the Netherlands. What is that experience like for me, and all that great stuff. So I feel like I've never really spoken about this on my channel, and I think it might be important and needed to actually speak about this topic. But before I do that, I'm actually going to start doing my makeup because I will forget. So the foundation that I'm using is from NYX Cosmetics Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. Guys, this is where it's at, okay? They snapped with this one. It's super light. The shade match is just absolutely immaculate, okay? Immaculate. So growing up black in the Netherlands, what is that experience like, etc, etc. So let's see. I am originally from Kenya, as a lot of you guys know. So I did not actually grow up here for a lot of my childhood, let's say. I moved to the Netherlands when I was about, I think, 10. So I've been living here since then. I'm living here for 10 years. And to be honest, for me, it's been pretty okay so far. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really been through anything super traumatic like others may have. And it's because I had some privileges, I guess, growing up, so it was a bit different. So what do I mean when I say I had a few privileges? When I first moved to the Netherlands, I actually went straight to a international school. So I was surrounded by a lot of international students. Yeah, I was really living the international experience, so I didn't really feel like an outstander, because technically before I moved to the Netherlands, I didn't even know how to speak Dutch. Like I didn't even know that the Dutch language existed. So it was a bit weird and different in that sense of language, which I'm gonna get into in a bit. It might look like I'm actually applying this really hard, but I'm not, I promise. For me personally, when it comes to school and language and all of that, it didn't really have a huge effect on me because I went to an international school, so I got the chance to speak English, which I already spoke fluently before I came here. So, and I went to a private school in Kenya as well. So for me, it was a bit different. Like I didn't feel pressured to learn any languages quickly or anything. And my mom was like, okay, I'm gonna put you in the international school so that you can develop quicker, if that makes sense. But also it was just so much better for my personal experience and growth. And so for that part, it wasn't that difficult, or it wasn't that different, let's say. So when it comes to society, what I realized when I moved to the Netherlands is that everybody was like so different. Like kids out here were not playing outside the way. Right now, they're definitely not playing outside anymore.
Coronavirus!
We're not.
Coronavirus!
There was no kids outside. I was outside and I was like, where everybody at? Where y'all at? I can't see y'all. Like, where y'all at? You know what I'm saying? Like, as a kid, I was so used to growing up in Kenya. Right now, by the way, I'm about to use the e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer. From now on, guys, I'm not going to explain anymore what I'm doing because it's just too much. It's too much going on. So I was like, where are the kids at? I was used to going outside and playing and just getting super duper dirty, and super, when I mean dirty, I mean like my clothes would get dirty, my shoes would look messed up after a week because of just being outside and actually having a childhood, if that makes sense. Here I noticed that people don't really have that in their culture, you know? So I was a bit shook about that. I was like, okay, there's nobody outside. And when I do go outside, it was easy to make friends because that's just the type of person I am. Like, it was a bit easier to make friends, but still people were a bit closed off, you know? And because I couldn't speak the language, I was more hesitant to actually step up to kids, you know, and be like, hey guys, play with me or whatever. So in that sense, it was a bit of a culture shock. But I do remember specific things happening, you know, as a black kid in a different country, especially in a European country. It's just so funny that some things would happen. Like, for example, we all know that moment. I'm just letting this dry a little bit. We all know that moment when you bring some food to school and you open up the dish. And you know, like African food has a specific taste and smell. So I would just open the food and just a whiff would just come out. And I would just be like, everybody would be like, what's that? What you got over there? Be like, oh my God, Tosh, what are you eating? Like, but the thing with this, it's so weird. I feel like with the friends that I had, they were so intrigued. Like nobody ever like laughed at me or anything. They were like, oh my God, that looks so good. Which was different, but it was just so funny because like my food would smell from my bag. This carry bag I was carrying to Kwasa, you would smell the food from a blood clot distance. Everybody, like all the kids would be carrying like some super cute packed lunches in this cute boxes. It would be like, I don't know, cheese strings and cute sandwiches and all this sophisticated shit. And I would just come with my leftovers from the night before because, baby girl, this is what we do. This is how we roll. And I think it's just because I obviously got to be around people who knew about different cultures because of being in an international school. So I wasn't really like bullied for having that type of food or anything. But it was a thing where kids would literally be interested in what I'm eating. Things like bringing food was funny. It was different. After a while, I got used to bringing my own food. But I do remember sitting down at times and thinking, I want to carry the food that so-and-so has, you know? I want to have food that doesn't smell. That used to be my mentality. But then after a while, I kind of got used to it and I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna carry my food and eat it when I feel like eating it, and it was never a problem. All right, so I'm just done baking and now I'm gonna go in with some contouring and bronzing. Another point that I wanted to move to was how I feel like the school systems sometimes can be a bit against minorities at some points. You know, I feel like here, what schools tend to do is that they make you do all the courses and everything, and then you might reach like the final year or something and you're taking your exams. This is high school. And they will just be like, yeah, we don't think you're prepared for it, or we don't think that you can do it properly, or we think your kid has dyslexia, they need extra classes, they need extra math, whatever. And so for example, like I remember we had to all use like laptops at some point, and our school would give us laptops. But I had never used a laptop for myself, for anything. You know what I'm saying? Obviously you have to keep in mind I was also young at this point, so it's like, why would I be using a laptop at like 9 years old? You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a laptop, I didn't use it. I've seen it, obviously I had seen them and I've seen people use them, but I had never had to use them myself. So for example, like my typing, everybody else in my class is typing super duper fast. And I legit don't even know how to use this computer. Like, I can't type as fast as you guys are typing. I cannot do my exams on this computer. Excuse me. I'm not used to this. I don't know how to do this. It was a big jump. I had to learn all that stuff, you know? I had to kind of just get to their level, like get to the other kids' level without anybody explaining to me why and what and where. But thankfully, the school that I went to not only had really good teachers, but also really caring students. So the friends that I had, they were like, okay, let's just help you, or let's just do it together, or whatever. If there's one thing I can be thankful for, it's growing up in that way, in a way which everybody around me just seemed to treat me the same, even though they might have noticed that I wasn't 100% the same. It is a big jump. It is a huge cultural shock, and rightfully so. I mean, when you're a child, these are the type of things you don't really tend to think about. But then I ended up finally learning Dutch somehow, some way. It actually happened really, really fast. Way quicker than I thought it would. Guys, this is how I do my eyebrows. I'm so lazy with it, I just brush them up. But because my hair is up, I might consider doing a bit more of a cleaner brow today. Another thing about growing up black in the Netherlands, which I find is such a weird experience to go through, was the fact that I felt, okay, so let me explain it. How do I explain this? In the Netherlands, there's different regions, obviously. There's the north, south. So north is like Amsterdam, cities like Amsterdam, Hilversum, Utrecht, and Amersfoort and all that stuff. And then you have the Zuid, which is more like Rotterdam, The Hague, etc. I realized that within the black community, I feel like a lot of, I don't know if it's the same anymore as much, but a lot of Caribbeans had always felt higher than Africans. And especially for me, it was different because I grew up in a region in the north where people speak Dutch with a more posher accent or whatever, where I grew up. So when I was learning Dutch, I also ended up speaking posh, speaking and sounding very posh. So I realized that when I did go into the spaces where people from the Caribbean who were living in Amsterdam, they kind of like could tell that I didn't speak with the accent that they speak, so they knew I wasn't the Caribbean or that I grew up in a different area, and that would kind of like close me out because of that. That's honestly how I felt. I felt like I was being more closed off by the black community than the white community. Like, it's crazy. It's either they feel some type of way because they don't speak posh, or they feel like you're not part of my society, you're not part of the community I've been part of, so yeah, like I'm not gonna really mess with you like that. And to be honest, that's a huge reason to why I did not have that many black friends growing up. Like, my black friends were my family. I didn't really have a lot of black friends, I didn't have a community of black friends where I could just do my thing. Up until later when I was like much older, I think around 15, 16 is when I really started like being around black people. And I just think it's such a crazy idea that is in our heads or is in the community's heads. It's like, why do I have to have been or lived in the ghetto, or all those weird standards that are put onto black people here in Europe, to a point where when someone does come from something good, people don't want to see that for you. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to credit you because they're like, but you haven't lived in the ghetto, or you don't come from the ghetto, so you don't really know how it is to be black. And it's like, what? Sir, I'm a black human being. I know everything about being black. You know what I'm saying? So it's so weird because honestly, even with let's say, guys liking you as a kid or as a teenager, I just felt like a lot of people who I was attracted to, which were black boys, weren't attracted to me because I didn't look like a Caribbean girl. I didn't have the light skin, and I didn't have curly texture hair, like super nice curly whatever, and I feel like that was a big part of if I did have any insecurities. It didn't come from my white friends, and I'm not bashing anybody. I'm not bashing the black community. I'm just saying the black community can do better. It's just as simple as that. Like you cannot close people off because they don't come from the same community as you. And quite frankly, I did not choose that. It happened to me, and I thank God. It is what it is, but that was just my experience. That was my experience. Caribbeans being extremely shallow about Africans in the Netherlands and not realizing that, babes, we're all black. In fact, you come from me. You come from Africa. You come from where your bashing is literally where your bloodline is and where your bloodline comes from. So I don't understand when people don't see that. It's very, very frustrating. So yeah, that's what I found really interesting about the Caribbean culture clashing with African culture here in Europe. So if you guys ever felt that way, let me know. Maybe it was like an insecurity that I had for myself because I felt like they might have been better or something. I don't know. It might have been an insecurity from myself actually. Another thing that I experienced growing up black in the Netherlands, which was kind of weird and funny at the same time, was people saying my name. Like, I never realized how much of an issue it would be saying my name. Like, guys, I have the easiest name ever, Natasha. Mostly people would actually still struggle with my name, even though it's really not that hard. People would still struggle with it. First of all, Dutch people tend to say Natasha in a very, very different way. They would say Natasha and they spell it with a J and a CH and everything but the way you spell it. And let alone my second name, we're not even gonna go there because they definitely could not do that. So it was a bit weird and it was a bit different for me because I was like, why is everybody having a hard time saying my name? Like, you know, back home, I was so used to people actually saying my name correctly. So I was like, sir, why is it so hard for you to say my name? My name is not that hard. I promise it's really not as hard as you're making it seem. So yeah, I did find it a bit weird that people couldn't say my name. Like seriously, like fully they could not say my name. It was funny, but after a while I got kind of used to it. It was still annoying, I'm not gonna lie. It is still annoying when people don't know how to say my name, but I just correct them politely and I'm like, sir, no, my name is Natasha Messenger, thank you so much. So yeah, it was interesting, you know, it was different culture, the food is different, the people are different. It was a bit of a culture shock at first, you know, kids were different, the way kids play it was also very different. So it was something that I personally just had to like get used to. But then as time went, it just became a much more pleasant experience. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, you know, and I was very, very privileged to go to an international school where I could still speak English, you know, get a good degree at the end of it and still do the stuff that I wanted to do. When it comes to racism, you know, I feel like it was different for me because I might experience little racist things now in the system now, and I see them more now than when I was younger, because when I'm younger, like, that's not what, I didn't even know that people could fully hate others because of their skin color, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't something that was taught to me, and I feel like as much as I should have been taught racism from a young age, it actually was better the way it happened, because that wasn't what consumed my head, you know? Like, if anything ever happened to me, I didn't think that it was because someone was trying to be racist or they hated me for my skin color. I'm also a strong personality. You guys should know this by now. I'm an extremely strong personality, so a lot of things don't really faze me. Those were my few little bits and bobs that I experienced, you know, growing up black in the Netherlands. It was a bit of a different experience, but I would definitely recommend anybody to do it. Not being from here and moving here was different. It was a culture shock, and I feel like that's with moving anywhere else in the world, you know, you have to like get used to what and how people do their things in those countries. And despite, you know, a lot of talk concerning racism and all that stuff, I feel like you know, when you just find the right people, and if you surround yourself with people who don't tolerate that, and if you don't tolerate that yourself, it becomes smaller. And obviously systematic things are only going to change with time. They cannot change immediately. I wish they could, but they can't and they won't. So that's just the reality. There's a lot of things that the Western countries could do to, you know, change themselves and change the way they think, because some people are just convinced that they're better than others, and it's sad, but it's the reality and the real world, and it just shows that we have to put more effort into changing that. And the generation that's coming up, which is me and my children and etc., will only continue to, you know, make it seen and make it a known fact that racism is completely unacceptable. But in general, I really like my friends who I met here. I like everybody who I met. I like the people who are around me, my family, etc. So I'm just so glad that I live here. But if I could go back home, I definitely would. Anyway guys, that was the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have anything that you went through, if you're black or white or whatever, growing up in a different country, what were the things that stood out to you? How did you deal with them? Maybe this video could help someone else who is coming, you know, to live in a different country for the first time. There is culture shock, don't get it twisted, but sometimes it's good culture shock. I mean, who doesn't like experiencing different things, you know? Don't let people's opinions as well deter you from, you know, taking steps and living in different countries to see how other people do their stuff. But in general, the Netherlands is pretty dope, if you ask me. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. And also, don't forget to watch any of the other videos. I know you're already here, so you might as well continue watching. I just want to watch it as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Deuces!